Valguero has to be one of the most mid maps in the game. I mean, in ASC it was pretty cool, with brand new biomes, some interesting new creatures, and decent landmarks, but honestly, I never saw anything interesting about it. However, has that changed with the release of Valguero on Ark Survival Ascended? Well, I've come to figure that out, but I won't be doing it alone. Come on, Smile, it's just for the video.
Why?
Together with Smile,
Hello.
we'll be working together to try and beat this map and uncover all it has to offer, from the brand new creatures that have been added, to the new changes across the map, and honestly, just experiencing the map in general, as I never really gave this map a serious go on ASE, and Smile hasn't played Ark in years. Nothing about this can go wrong at all. So stick around and find out if together we can survive 100 days on Valguero as a duo.
My life.
Starting off our journey on day 1. Welcome back, Yujiro. What have you to say to the viewers?
I shall commit various heinous war crimes.
So spawning in Zone 1, I went about getting together the starting gear while Smile was still making his survivor, getting myself a pickaxe to go ham on the beach rocks, and then a hatchet to smack some trees. Where soon enough, Smile finished making his survivor, so finding where he was, we went ahead and made our tribe. Viva la Val! Honestly, I have no idea why we named it this, but whatever. And now with my new war crime buddy, we went about killing the local populations for hide and meat to get a better start on our beginning kits, exploring our surroundings while we were out, which I ended up getting myself hyper-fixated on smacking up a bunch of the beach rocks for flint and stone to try and get some progress towards Lost Colony's perk point tree, which by extension also got us a decent start of metal, as these were my cash money metal rocks. The joke shall never die. Working towards setting up a starter place to grind, gathering the skin from the locals to try and get some forges, which because I have the attention span of an autistic goldfish, I ended up taming up a Nocosaurus from the prehistoric beasts mod, which get used to me saying this as there's a lot of new creatures with this mod, using my new companion to assist in the hunt of the innocents, killing some of the larger creatures that I wasn't able to quite handle on my own yet, where while doing this I ended up finding some pretty decent pteranodons, which I went about knocking out and taming. Then, pulling together the resources we've been getting, I crafted us a raft and the starting foundation to make a crafting fob of sorts. I don't really know what else to call this because it's not a base. Setting up some campfires, mortars and pestles, and some forges, collecting the terras when they tamed, and heading back out for some more skin harvesting, using my new burbs to harass the creatures I fought as I killed them. Where back at base, kinda, Smile ended up placing some storage. Lovely, but that's not placed wrong. Let me fix it. And while at the raft, I went about placing the metal we had gotten from the cash money metal rocks into the forges to start cooking, using what was cooked shortly after to craft ourselves a smilly, where I also got together a metal pick and a sickle for harvesting, which with how successful the cash money metal rocks were being, both me and Smile went about harvesting a ton of those to try and get a healthy start to metal production, nabbing another skill quest while I was at it, which while getting some of those rocks in the deeper water, I ended up spotting some oil in the distance. And now's not the time for an oil joke. Now's not the time for an oil joke, Draco. Calm yourself. Heading out into those deeper waters to collect that, and the metal that was around it, while doing a terrible Trump impression, because why not? Have you ever heard about the greatest, I've got the greatest country in the world. It's the greatest.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna colonize you and you'll be free. It's gonna be the greatest experience you've ever had. You'll have no experience like it. Grabbing some silica pearls while I was down there and taming an ichthy that was stalking me worse than my ex. You don't have one of those, you maidenless bastard. Getting back to the raft in the early morning of day 2, putting away the oil and cooking the metal, also crafting myself a metal hatchet, a crossbow, and 2 sets of flak for me and Smile with what had already cooked. God damn, we rich this time around. And while I was out, Smile had found a hobbit hole in the side of the nearby hill, which I don't remember these being in ASC, but they were pretty dang cool in my opinion.
Taking the hobbits to
Valguero.
Working on crafting some arrows for my new crossbow thus after, collecting the thatch that I needed for it, and permanently deforesting the shoreline for the rest of the playthrough. I really wish that this was a joke. Which I couldn't help but get some more cash money metal rocks, totally for the flint, where Smile joined me again for this. Though, as you might have seen already, I don't really have any footage from him, as, you know, Smile doesn't really record. Guess we gotta bully him into streaming now, don't we? Which together we were able to get almost 1,000 metal that we put into the forges to cook, and a ton of flint which I used to craft those arrows that I wanted. And while waiting for those, I dripped myself out again, heading out with my new stock of arrows to go on a killing spree, where I almost fumbled my very first fight with a trike. Thankfully, Smile was there to save me. What could I do without him? So from there, we went killing up along the coast, going into the afternoon where we found ourselves at the edge of the snow biome, spotting some metal nodes along it, which we couldn't help but harvest. We also decided to go exploring while we were here, where we found a purple ring to drop. So running past some nasty locals, we went and collected the drop, and got nothing really good from it. Though there was some crystal next to it, which me and Smile took advantage of with glee. Though, on our way out of the biome, we ended up getting chased out by some wolves, where while fighting them, we ended up kidnapping one of their kids. So I used some of that crystal to craft some dino balls from the Dino Depot mod and put away our new friend. Which, because this was absolutely the best time for it, I decided to craft a bed, remembering that we still needed one and very much traumatized from my beginning experience in Aberration. Getting some more metal along the way, which I got encumbered from that, but using the stone from the rocks, I crafted some stone foundations, because they weighed less somehow. Getting back to the raft in day 3, putting away what we had got, and yeah, with all this metal, this has to be the richest I've ever been in the beginning of a playthrough like this. I'm fucking loving it. Smile also tamed a dolphin. Yup, never getting mentioned again. And now at a healthy spot in our progression, we decided to head out with our raft to go and explore the stone fortress we saw on a nearby island. Heading there, and pretty quickly both of us agreed that this place would make an amazing base spot, with 2 courtyards for tames and structures, an internal castle in the citadel where we could make proper housing, and a crafting area for ourselves, with that having 3 floors and even a dockyard at the edge of the water. This place was absolutely perfect. So yeah, we made it ours. And because we'd both been watching Game of Thrones at the time, we decided to call this place Dragonstone for the basalt rock formations at its base. And frankly, get used to the references because they're not stopping anytime soon. Which, to get our new abode into order, we went about clearing rocks in the courtyards, using the resources from those to start furnishing the inner castle, placing a dino gate as a door, and then putting down the foundations for the very first floor. And from that drop, we had also gotten a metal spike, so I placed that down for aesthetic effect, I think. And now with the proper base of operations, we now had to look forward on our progression journey, which meant getting some harvesters, which meant getting trank arrows, which meant that we needed to get a berry harvester, so we went to go and do that, after splitting some raw meat for spoiling purposes. Heading out in day 4 to get that berry harvester, sailing to one of the shores nearby, and searching, which pretty quickly I was able to find a parasaur that was worthy enough to tame. So I beat it into submission, and went about taming it.
Yes, I'll make you my friend by violently beating you into unconsciousness.
Where along some of the cliffs nearby, we found an alpha Edmontosaurus. Hey, buddy. Though we managed to slip past it, but we could not say the same about the bison we came across. Didn't think these would spawn. Oh well. Die. Grabbing the parasaur when it tamed, I went about using it to get some starting narco berries to try and get tranks for a better berry harvester, as let's be frank, parasaurs fucking suck. Which, yes, I noticed that you see the command chat. I did too. It was annoying, but unfortunately, I couldn't do anything about it, so for now, we're just gonna have to
Make do!
Told you to get used to the references. Taking what we could from that little berry run and making a bunch of narcotics on the raft. Using that to craft the very first of my extra strength tranks, which, yeah, this is another returning mod, because I have the patience of an irate toddler with a caffeine addiction.
Describes you perfectly.
Using these to try and tame a Saltosaurus, another one of the prehistoric beasts. Though I didn't know it had massive damage reduction, so it extremely nullified my Trank's effects. So much for my patience, huh? Where it ended up taking up to 16 arrows to knock out. Mind you, these arrows normally do between 2,000 to 4,000 torpor on normal creatures. But alas, it was worth it as it was max level, and when it did tame, it was pretty decent at getting berries, if I might say so myself. Which, if you couldn't determine from the fact that we immediately jumped from the parrot to this, I wanted it for berries, okay? I just wanted more. I want my drugs. Naming it Cilantro and then heading back home, where we had a little bit of a scare with the Tylosaur. And now with these arrows, we had the means to get some more tames. So in the evening, we went out to go and get some Ankies, finding a level 145 female nearby and knocking them out. Which Smile tamed another Panaka while we were doing that, cause he loves those little guys, I guess. Both of them taming in day 5, allowing us to go forth with trying to get a Spino, as we wanted a powerfully reliable mount to traverse the area around the lake, because all the harvesters we wanted were farther away than the lake. Going after a level 100, which we found and started shooting from the shore, eventually luring it over and knocking it out, then going after a level 105 that was farther into the water, heading out with Cilantro to try and lure it back to the land to tame. However, that Tyla from earlier decided to keep its beef. So we just waited for the level 100 to tame, getting some berries while we waited, heading out after the level 105 when the first one finished, crafting some narcotics along the way, then finding it, luring it to the shore, knocking it out, and then waiting for it to tame. Which, while waiting, we decided to explore the shore we knocked it out on, finding a massive tree which looked straight out of Avatar, which underneath it we found a pretty decent Evo Rex, which we decided to tame, killing an aloe, offering it to the Rex, feeding it to be friendly, and then heading out with it on a killing spree to finally tame it. There you go. Oh shit. Kill that bitch. Kill that bitch. And when the Spino tamed, we then took our spoils back to base in day 6, crafting a Rex saddle and naming the new Rex Kingslayer.
My name's Jamie.
Next on our list was some better flyers, cause the Terras also fucking suck. So using the Dino Finder mod, we tracked down some Dirks from the Prehistoric Beast mod, and went out to tame them, which these guys are not your conventional tame. For them, you needed a little flute, which you'll use for a little mini game to tame them, which, yeah, that's what we did. Getting a level 135 and level 10. There weren't any others, and Smile needed a flyer. I know I fucked them over, but like, there was nothing else I could do. And along the beaches, we also found some rotten corpses, which gave spoiled meat. So we went about harvesting them, where we eventually got our Dirks saddled and named. Mine respectively being named Doomsdirk, and Smile's I don't remember. And down the beach, Smile found another Evo Rex, which we went about trying to tame, though for some reason it didn't really like me all that much. So we went ahead and left it alone for now. Going on forward, where we eventually wandered our way into another part of the snow, where we found a pretty solid RG. So knocking it out, we went about taming that guy, and when it did, we figured why not find another for Smile. So going farther into the snow, we went looking, coming across a level 150, though it died right in front of us. However, as we kept on, we eventually found a level 145 male that was perfect for Smile, so we went about taming that one. And nearby, we found a pretty decent Greater Yudi, a variant from the Paleo Arc mod, so we went ahead and snatched that guy as well, doing some looting along the way, where I ended up getting an Ascendant Pike, which, oh, the war crime potential. Another goal of ours while we were up here was also cementing paste. No jokes, it's a little too real now.
Vanessa, I am in the fucking Epstein file.
Which in the snow, for some reason, with the Dino Finder, we found a bunch of beavers, heading to where they were in day 7 and taxing the locals to do absolutely nothing of benefit for them, finding an Alpha Carno along the way, which free XP could not hurt. Wrapping up our IRS cosplay, we returned to the raft, dropping by the Rex to try and tame it again, since Smile wanted to give it a go. However, when we found it, it was busy fighting a Salta. This is definitely not foreshadowing or anything. So we went back home, crafting more drugs, because no, I don't have a problem, officer. Also crafting an Ornithocaris saddle, because I really enjoyed them last time on Rag. Which, to continue exploring and taming, we decided to saddle and level up the Spinos to go out on an expedition. Heading around the lake, vibe checking the locals, they all failed, until we found some more Dirks near the salt cliffs in day 8, taming those and getting some more rotten bodies along the beaches, where we headed up into the salt cliff biome proper to go and do some exploration, which Smile decided to adopt a horse. No, Ossifer, we didn't see what happened to their parents. And for some reason I named my Spino Stannis the Not So Manus. Oh god. It was a good thing we came here though, as we were able to get a ton of harvesters for grinding, finding a Doed, another Enki, and a Roo which we knocked out and tamed, naming the Roo Another Day in Aussie, in honor of our comrade from the center playthrough. That's been 2 years, oh my god. And then we found another Doed, mine, which while doing this, Smile spotted a decent Evo Rex in the distance, which he wanted to try and tame.
Oh,
How the fuck are you?
I thought he was that one. I know.
Which this led to a very tedious set of events, which still make our skin crawl to this very day. I would like you to remember what happened with the Evo Rex taming in the Saltos.
Oh my fucking Jesus Christ.
How did you feel about the Evo Rex taming?
Great.
See, when we tried going about taming it, every single time the Rex ended up getting into a fight with a Saltosaurus. Oh god, it was foreshadowing. Since they were extremely common for some reason. Which, if you remember, the Saltosauruses have damage resistance, which made it really difficult to kill, including for the Rex. Especially since the Saltus AI would tell it to run when it took too much damage, and when it did run, it regened all its health. Oh my god, these guys are the ultimate cucks. Thankfully, my new pike helped in that endeavor. However, it was still a tedious process, as for every Salto we killed, it seemed like 3 more spawned. And even when we did get an opening, because of the Saltus chaos, the Rex was more often than not bugged out and started to kill us whenever we tried to tame it. And even when we shifted our attention to taming another Rex, we ran into the same exact fucking problem. Though eventually I did manage to brute force my way through taming a level 120 Rex. Though Smile still wanted to take a shot at doing it himself, so we kept on, finding a pretty decent Legacy Rex in the evening, which he went about trying to tame, just for the same bullshit to keep happening. No matter how many Saltas we killed, or how many times we tried to initiate the tame, or how many times we died, we just couldn't tame it. No! Even going into day 9 on this torturous endeavor, where eventually we both just got fed up and left. At the very least, we got a bunch of harvesters and a single Rex while we were here, but to say we left absolutely livid. Returning home with our new stuff, where honestly we kind of just goofed off to decompress from this traumatic event. Setting up some campfires inside the castle real quick and placing out our new tames before deciding to head out and do some looting to try and make ourselves feel better. Flying around the map, exploring and looting, going to the White Cliffs where we found some caves, got some Deinonychus eggs, though they weren't really anything special, and kept going. Managing to get some of my first perk points, which I put towards Iron Grip to get to work towards my Speedy Harvester perk, cause I still need my sped. Continuing our looting into days 10 and 11. Getting back home, finally decompressed, we then decided to go and continue expanding our Harvester catalog, heading back out for some Theries, which this time were now the Paleo variant from Up From the Depths, using the Dino Finder to find them, and going after a level 140 in the morning in the jungle, sending it to the metaphorical Shadow Dimension, and then went about taming it, where a random terror bird came in and ruined its taming effectiveness. Brother, if you don't get your motherfucking... So while we let that one wake up, we went after another level 140, which was fortunately just up the hill, knocking that one out and waiting for it to tame. Just for Capro to jump me straight into the Thery, ruining its taming effectiveness as well. So we left that one to wake up as well, finding yet another Thery in the cliffs nearby, a level 140 male, which we knocked out, and to ensure that we didn't have this one's taming effectiveness ruined, we brought out Kingslayer to help us protect it. And because we were still obsessed with Game of Thrones, when it tamed, we named the Thery Hodor. And then went back after the other Theries, one which had already woken up, so we knocked them back out, fed them, tamed them really quickly because they were already starved, and again, because Game of Thrones goes Bert, we decided to name them Lady. Heading to the next one, which hadn't quite woken up yet, so I got some stimberries to help with that, and when it did wake up, we went about taming it, which we tamed it pretty quickly, again because it was already starved, and named them Thickle Thurkey, because yes, I'm a comedic genius. And in day 12, we went on another looting spree, which, yeah, get used to me saying this. We don't ever stop. Getting a mediocre torch from a drop, which normally isn't useful, but with this upgrade for Valguero also came with a new creature, the Mega Raptor, in which you needed a good torch to tame it. If only this one was good. Keeping up with the looting, mainly trying to get some guns, cause yes, I am that kind of stereotype. Though we were not successful. So at sunrise, we shifted our attentions to getting some Ornithocaris, finding a level 125 near Dragonstone, which we knocked out, and it fell into the water. Thankfully it tamed quick. Gotta love the fortunes of my short attention span. And just after it tamed, we also found a level 140 nearby, which yeah, we needed one for Smile too. So we got that one, taming it just the same as the last, getting them both saddled and heading back home. Which now is about the time we got our grind on. As with all our harvesters, there was now no excuse. So we gathered all we needed, crafting saddles, leveling up creatures, and figuring it was about time, getting everything on the raft moved into the castle. Which the first thing we wanted to do was to get together all the resources we needed to fully furnish our home, which is gonna be pretty easy, figuring we were just gonna be lazy and put basic foundations on all 3 levels of the castle. Heading out with the Doge to get a bunch of stone around our personal island, collecting as much as we could going into day 13. Wrapping up in the morning where I was able to get around 90,000 stone, and while Smile continued a little bit longer, I went and got the Theries ready, taking Smile out of his harvesting when he got a little too overfixated, and then heading into the nearby redwoods for, well, wood, as we didn't want to ruin the natural beauty of our own island. Going there and smacking a ton of trees, getting myself about 120,000 wood and some thatch with it, though I don't know how much Smile got. Which before we went back home, we found a pretty good sloth, so we went about taming it, until Smile hit it on accident. Smile! Getting back home with the Theries to then immediately head back out with cilantro to try and get a bunch more thatch. Going to one of the nearby shores and smacking every single tree I could find. Take that, you Lorax bitch! Clearing out the entirety of the cliffside for the rest of the playthrough. Still not joking. Killing a Carno along the way to get a decent crossbow, and then continuing into day 14, where when I was satisfied, we went back home with all the resources that we needed to build. So we went ahead and began construction, crafting a bunch of foundations and getting to work. Which when we finished that in the afternoon, we moved on to placing the crafting stations, expanding them while we were at it, getting well over 20 forges, a bunch of storage boxes, some preserving bins, a fireplace we had gotten while looting, 3 smillies, a cryo box, and a cage for non-abusive reasons, and a bed, which that finally finished our work in the base. Onto the metal run! Heading out with the Argies and the Yankees in day 15, flying into some mountains nearby and going on a massive run, smashing along the entire range, pause, where we found an Alpha Rex, which, yeah, that's illegal. Be gone, breathing privileges. Getting some crystal while we were up there as well. And while around the mountains, we also found some pretty cool things, like another castle, and some more helpless beavers to steal from. Sorry, we need this for
freedom reasons.
Going forward for more metal into day 16, passing through the jungles and into the salt cliffs, hitting up all we could, finding a ton in the higher plateaus and a really cool ruined city. Where after me and Smile were able to get a combined total of around 100,000 metal, we decided to pack up and head home, making it back home where I had Smile put away the metal for me.
Work for me, Smile, work for me.
Heading back out in day 17 with the Yankees to go and get flint, so that I could get spark powder for gunpowder to access my Second Amendment right. Heading back to those mountains where nearby we found a lake which I thought would be good for harvesting, as if you don't know, you can harvest a lot faster with an Anki in water than out. I mean, at least in my opinion, since you don't have to wait for the drawback from their attacks while in the water. Though when we got there, we did find that that area was pretty dangerous. That didn't stop us from doing rock smash though, harvesting all the way into day 18, where between me and Smile we managed to get almost 130,000 flint. No, not that kind of flint! So to reward ourselves after such a hard day of work, we went out looting. Yup. Eventually making it back home, where we decided to go and take a shot at taming one of the new additions of this map, the Mega Raptor. Using the poorly made torch, what could go wrong? Everything apparently, as when we went to go and tame a level 130 in the jungles, we found it trapped in a ruin, which would be perfect if we had put our tames on passive, as they ended up killing it the moment we tried to initiate the tame. No! What? Luckily, some more had spawned in the redwoods, though they were in the redwoods. And I wanted to get a good grasp on how to tame one before we went and did something like that there. So we went after a low-level one somewhere in the salt cliffs, though it ended up getting itself killed. And so did the next one. These guys are kind of flimsy. Finally, we managed to locate a level 35 to try and tame in a safe location, which I went about doing, playing a sharper version of whack-a-mole, eventually managing to bonk it to sleep and tame it. Cool, now for the hard ones. Finding a level 135 nearby, which we went about trying to tame, which went not good. Going about the process into day 19, where it started out well at first, but then, for some reason, the Mega Raptor exited the minigame and went about killing me successfully. Respawning nearby, Smile picked me up and helped me retrieve my stuff, only for me to find that this Mega Raptor had the same sewer slide tendencies and got itself killed. So we tried to go after one in the redwoods this time, but as soon as we got to it, it despawned. So we went after a level 130 nearby, which Smile accidentally killed. And then a level 135, which was almost dead when we found it. So we just went after a level 145 that was in the slow cliffs. But for some reason, we couldn't find its taming altar. and then it got itself killed.
I swear these things are made out of glass.
Then we went after a level 125 back in the same mountains where the level 135 from before spawned. Thankfully this time, we could find the totem, though for some reason, as we went about taming this one, it kept falling through the floor and canceling out the taming process, which eventually caused it to get distracted and it got itself killed. Hey, Smile.
No.
It's Smile.
Fuck you.
Hey, Smile.
Fuck you.
Guess what?
What happened?
So you know the Mega Raptor?
Mm-hmm.
You know how it was alive?
Uh-huh.
Well, it ain't no more. So with that, we gave up for now, kinda figuring that it was the torch giving us problems.
Cause yes, it was the torch, not the falling through the goddamn
So we went on a looting spree, which while looting, I
finally got my first gun.
a shoddy simple pistol, but it was a start. And from another drop, we got a fabricator and an industrial grill, so cool. Continuing our looting into day 20, where we got some extra crystal. Going forth with more looting in an attempt both for more guns and for a better torch, because we still wanted to get a Mega Raptor. Getting back home when we couldn't loot anymore, and doing a bunch of boring chore stuff. Putting away our new loot, placing the fabricator in the grill, getting started on spark powder crafting, which this all got me looking forward to trying to get some better crafting stations, which for that we would need a bunch of oil and polymer along with silica pearls for electronics to get a chemistry bench as well. 2 of those resources could be got easily from the water, though without a decent water mount that would be annoying, while the third could be crafted or gotten from creatures, which on Valguero there's the aberrant biome, which would have 2 things that would help in both regards: Carcinos to get polymer from and anglerfish somehow. Though when trying to prepare for an expedition to go down there, we realized we had left Kingslayer back where we tamed the fairies, and when we collected them in day 21 we ended up getting distracted looting. But at least I found a fabricated sniper rifle, which when we finished with our addiction, we thusly went down into the aberrant zone with our Rexes, heading down there where Smile immediately got his killed by falling down a cliff. What?
I jumped off a cliff and it died.
Oh my lord, oh my lord.
I have absolutely no idea how the fuck they died.
Fall damage.
Really?
Yes.
They had like 10k health.
Brother, was that the cliff you jumped down?
Yeah.
Oh!
So on our journeys, he just followed along on his Orny, though our fortunes were not very good, exploring the underground caverns to find not much at all. We did get some green gems while down there, some horses Smile wanted, that would never be seen again, and some blue gems near the radiated zone, and some red gems in the red zone after I cosplayed as a Chernobyl firefighter, though still we didn't find any crabs. So in lieu of finding no crabs, we went after the anglerfish next, passing by a dead basilisk, interesting, and after Smile finished taming a bulb dog, we managed to find some crabs finally, next to an anglerfish that had spawned on land. Oof, that's rough, buddy. So from there we went about getting the polymer we needed from the crabs, going on a killing spree and then knocking a level 140 anglerfish out, only to have its taming effectiveness immediately ruined by a crab. So instead I went after a level 145 that was upstream, killing more crabs as I was waiting for it to finish taming. And now aware that basilisks spawned, we decided to switch gears going forward a little bit to put some effort towards getting those guys, leaving the aberrant zone to first go and get some gas collectors to get gas balls for hazard gear, which that was for the same reason we wanted basilisks, to get rock drakes. As with Valguero's introduction to Arc Ascended, they added those to the red zone along with Reaper Queens, two things we very much wanted, which for the drakes we planned on getting some basilisks, which they would need eggs to tame. Wyvern eggs. So in day 22, we got some gas collectors crafted, heading back to the aberrant zone, placing them to a copy of the portal zone from Aberration, then heading out to go to Val's Wyvern Den, which here was in the snow biome. Arriving at the den and going about our search, where it immediately got scuffed, as when I went for the first egg, I got pounced by a pyromane and a baby llama, which got me stuck in an aerial battle with the ice wyverns that I couldn't escape due to their ice breath. Then when we made our way into the fiery innards of the den, because non-dedicated servers suck, Smile got teleported into the lava, which nearly killed him and his Orny, which when we went to go and get the fire wyvern eggs, they ended up sealing the deal because Smile didn't know about hit and run tactics for some reason. So it was left to me to try and get eggs, and to orchestrate our escape, saving Smile with my new sniper before using the same tether distance system which got us into the situation to our advantage, teleporting him out of the den and dragging him all the way back to base, though at least we managed to get a few eggs. So recovering from that fiasco back at base, we went about cleaning up to get ready for some basilisk taming, where I crafted an oil rig to help get some early oil production for the Indie Forge, heading out to place the oil rig and then immediately getting distracted by looting again, finishing up in day 23 and heading down into the aberrant zone with Kingslayer and the Spino to try and instigate spawns for the mega snakes, though as you may have noticed, our luck in that regard doesn't often go well. So while we were able to get a decent stash of polymer from the crabs down there, tame another anglerfish and an eel, we weren't able to find anything. Though in day 24 we were able to get some gas from the collectors and some aberrant ovis which we wanted to use for Zoldrir dragon taming, as Smile saw Zolgar in my rag playthrough and very much wanted one of his own. Yet still we weren't able to find any snakes. So heading home we decided to get Smile a new Orny as he was having some troubles keeping up on his dirk, finding a decent one near home, knocking it out and taming it for Smile. And then because I was sick at the time and wanted to do something easy and rewarding, we decided to head out for a bunch of looting, though Smile stayed on his dirk for some reason. And when we were done with that, we then returned home and went about preparing for another harvesting operation with our anglerfish, wanting to get a bunch of silica pearls and oil from around the lake, as it looked like there was a bunch of that when I got that oil in day 2. Crafting some scuba gear, making Smile an Orny saddle, and oh look at that, we had the resources for an Indie Forge. So I went ahead and crafted and placed that. And because we had that, I thus went about crafting some electronics to try and get the chemistry bench as well. Crafting that and placing it, then moving all the metal from the forges into the Indie Forge. And now I'm questioning why were we even doing the silica run to begin with.
Because you're a greedy bastard.
So with all that done, we went out in day 25 to go on that harvesting run with the fish, going around the lake, harvesting as much oil as I could find, scraping whatever pearls I came across, which was not a lot, and fighting off whatever attacked us. Mostly sharks and hanosaurs from you-know-what mod at this point. Going about this harvesting into the afternoon where we got enough to satisfy our needs, at least in regards to oil, with around 6,000 in that regard, which would do for now. As for the pearls, we barely got more than 1,000. Using these resources at home to get together some more gasoline, crafting gunpowder for very legal reasons, making myself a utilities plus grapple, and then just kinda goofing around base with Smile. Finally heading out in day 26 to go and get some megatheriums, as while we were goofing off, we decided that one of our next courses of action was to kill the wandering broodmother that was in the redwoods. That and that they would be good for chitin gathering for cementing paste, as the taxpayers were not giving us enough. Going to the snow to go about getting our first megatherium there. And yes, I am just using my grapple to cling on to Smile as he chauffeurs me around the map. What of it? Taming that one and a nearby Daedon, cause why not? Then heading out for some more drops. And of course that went as well as you could expect with me being on foot. finding a level 115 sloth in the deeper snow in the side of a wall next to a level 125, which we went ahead and tamed both of them, and then a level 150 nearby, which while waiting for that one, we found a drakeling fluttering about, and then it started to try and kill Smile. Well, it's got a that little motherfucker's on no ass. Whereafter the sloth tamed and turned out terrible. And the drakeling that was playing with Smile ended up disappearing for some reason. So we went after another one that was max level nearby, which I accidentally killed. Going back to the sloth taming, we got another max level and a level 135 after that, which they turned out okay. But for the broodmother, I was content for now. So we went back home to get the sloths breeding, though I still had a mind for a drakeling. So with the dino finder, I found a decent spring drake which we could go after. But before we could, we came across another decent orny, knocking it out where it accidentally fell into our base. How fortunate. And when it tamed, Smile decided to name it Ramsey, which he swore was for Gordon, but the North remembers what the Boltons did. Heading out in day 27 to go after a drakeling once more, finding a level 131 near the mountains where we had gotten the metal from, where I went about the EXP collection based taming process, taming my new companion pretty quickly, which to test out its EXP share ability, which gives you a loot chest, we ended up killing a Parentiosaurus? A Paraxiosaurus? A Paraxin one. The duckbill motherfucker that looks like a Dinocaris, giving us our first bit of EXP for the horde chests, which led to us looting, of course. Coming across the world boss broodmother with 1 million health. Cool. Gotta love that. Returning home to get back on track with the basilisk taming. Also preparing for a crab tame while we were at it. Crafting a cannon, some cannonballs, getting a pre-made metal foundation we had from looting, and then the gates and bear trap to, well, trap the crab. And before heading out, I got the 2 best sloths we had to get breeding to start working towards the fight with the broodmother. Heading out for the loot. Wait, what? Are you fucking kidding me? Going into day 28 with this fucking absolute distraction. Huh? I got a gun. A fabricated sniper rifle? The best I've ever gotten. Okay, so maybe looting isn't that bad. Eventually making our way down to the aberrant zone to go about the taming, though snakes were still not spawning. So we just went about spawn clearing, where I decided, after the fiasco with the Rexes and the Saltas, the seemingly unstable proportion of spawns, and the in general complications we've been having, to cut most of the prehistoric beast mods, leaving the ones with the Dirks and the Ornies, but getting rid of the rest, which meant saying farewell to the Panacos and Cilantro. You will not be missed. Which seemed to work, as we were able to find 2 really exceptional snakes had spawned, though I then got concerned that we didn't have enough eggs to tame them both. So we went out to go to the Wyvern den to get some more. Oh, and Smile got his Orny killed again.
He's done them already. How the fuck? What? What? Shiggy, I can't hear you. Hello? What the fuck? How the fuck did this happen?
Arriving at the den in the evening, where we went about clearing out wyverns, stealing their children, and putting my new war crime stick to use. Where we managed to get a few decent eggs, which Smile liked, but I really just wanted the eggs for the snakes. Getting 2 ice wyvern eggs that were level 135 and 185. Wrapping up in the earliest morning of day 29, where we went on another skip. Oh wait, actually, I got a good AR from this, so cool, I guess. Finding another Orny on our way back home, which of course we tamed, using the saddle from the old one to get it situated, which Smile named Ramsey 2.0. Hopefully there won't be a 3.0. Heading back to the aberrant zone thereafter to go and get the basilisks. Heading after a level 141st. That was stuck in a rock. So with a shield, I had to creep up on it and break it free before we could tame it, which thankfully went well, and we were able to tame it. Then going after a level 130 nearby and taming that one as well, finding that they were a mate pair, which was cool. Baby snakes, maybe. We then went to try and tame a crab next, finding a level 135 along the river, trapping it, setting up the cannon, and doming it in the head with an iron ball, knocking it out and taming it, which when it did, we named it
Wanna go fishing?
Yes, ain't I just the funniest person to ever exist. Heading back home with our spoils and getting our snakes some saddles to go and try them out for a little bit. Naming mine Dracaris, because do I even need to say it? Going into day 30 on a killing spree with the snakes, killing an alpha Nasutoceratops, which gave me another dragon horde key, so we went out looting, where I managed to get an ascendant double barrel shotgun and a chemistry bench. And then from that drakeling chest, it gave me an ascendant pump shotgun. Oh boy, yes. This would definitely cause an addiction. Which, of course, I had to test out my new weapon. Smile, get over here. And now with these basilisks, we thusly wanted to make for our true objective, the rock drakes. Crafting up some hazard gear for our endeavor, getting some cementing paste crafting before we left, and then heading out to the aberrant zone to get light pets from the normal zones, as we did have to consider the danger of a Reaper Queen, where I tamed a Featherlight which I named Shroom Lover 69, helping Smile get his own, where he named it Sansa, cause have you seen Game of Thrones? And then at last heading into the red zone in day 31, where our curse of limited spawning persisted, as nothing really spawned, though there were some amazing loot crates down there, which we definitely capitalized on, where I came across our first Reaper Queen. So we killed it, where finally some rock drakes started spawning, where Smile was able to get a level 140 egg, and I myself found a level 145 egg. We also got some veggie cakes from the looting, though Smile's hazard gear ended up breaking, so we had to leave early. Heading back to the regular zone to put those cakes to use, taming some more Ovis for Zoldrir taming. Then heading back home to go and hatch the rock drakes, crafting an egg incubator to assist, placing it upstairs, and then going about hatching a bunch of eggs we've been collecting through the playthrough thus far, though placing some fridges first, and then getting them all hatched. Hatching some Deinonychus eggs, the Wyvern eggs we had gotten, and the rock drakes, which when they hatched, we managed to get twins from the level 145 egg, which we went about taking care of all these babies in the courtyard, which the first to grow up was the Deinonychus, which I played around with a bit on Dragonstone, figuring that we might be able to use them for caving, as we'd need to do that to kill the boss of this playthrough, which it's about time to introduce them. Unlike ASC, Valguero on Ascended had a brand new boss to fight, a massive mega raptor called Grendel, which would be scary as hell to fight, but before we could even think about fighting them, as always, we'd need to get the artifacts from the various caves on the map. Kinda obvious, but you know. And since we were already working on raising babies, we spent some time with the sloths as well to work towards getting the army to kill the brood mommy. And whenever we got to a stall in the breeding process, we went out looting, going about this process into day 32, which was getting really boring, so to cheer myself up, I decided to do the completely sane thing of executing the weak in our ranks. For the crime of being pathetic. I slouched his ass. Hold up, you gotta look at the way. Look at the way. Yep, I'm totally sane. And yeah, eventually we got bored of that, so we decided to finally have some fun with our rock drakes, which had grown up.
You don't say!
Getting them saddles and heading out to go and have some fun in the Salt Cliffs. Getting some more Deinonychus eggs as I was seriously consider trying to breed some of those guys for the caves. Heading into the Chalk Plains, leveling the drakes and getting whatever eggs we could get. Getting some pretty decent eggs and then heading back home in the afternoon, not before stealing from the beavers again. Which at home we found another stall in the sloth breeding. So we went ahead and just hatched the eggs that we had gotten in day 33, taking the best ones from the batch for breeding and stashing away the rest, just to do more looting. But at least from the first drop we got an Ascendant chainsaw, which frankly was amazing, and an Ascendant UD saddle, which would be useful as well, which no loot session could be complete without a Drakeling chest. So I went back home and collected the Drakeling, finally giving them a name, Diddy Disciple. Going back to the looting, where we killed one of those, things again, getting enough EXP for another Dragon Horde chest, which we went to go and get. Now before Smile found an Ascended Torch blueprint in a white drop. Perfect for attempting the Mega Raptor taming again. So we went to do that, crafting some torches and finding a level 145 on the border of the jungles, where we couldn't find its taming altar. Off to a great start. So in day 34, we went after a level 130 that was nearby, and went about taming it, which thank God we got that torch, because oh boy did it work, knocking it out in almost flawless fashion, which this instigated us to go on a taming spree for these guys. Heading to a level 145 up in the Salt Cliffs, where we found its altar and proceeded with the taming process. Though this guy was a bit more wonky than the last, breaking free from the taming process several times, but eventually we were able to knock it out and tame it. Then heading out for another one in the Redwoods, a max level which went well for the most part, though this one liked to get stuck in the floor a lot. However, with some persistence, we managed to knock it out and add it to our collection. And then we went out after another one, which this time Smile wanted to take a crack at taming, though that went less well. So yeah, I ended up finishing the tame for him, adding yet another to our roster. And with that, we were content. Heading out real quick for a Dragon Horde, where we got some extraordinary kibble, which was awesome, and some Ascendant tech, which I can't use our quite.
You taught me so.
Getting back home in day 35, setting out the Mega Raptors to start breeding, and then preparing for an underwater expedition, as we were finally gonna start working towards getting the creatures for our boss army for Grendel. See, my initial plan when starting this playthrough playthrough was to get a bunch of Mega Raptors. However, I was not aware of how they performed, and now with the knowledge of their weaker durability and learning about their solo buff, I realized they were not going to work. So I had to come up with something else. I also didn't want to do Evo Rexes again, figuring we used them last time, so I thought our best bet would be some Acros, which I really wanted to tame again since I haven't really had any since the Scorched Earth playthrough over a year ago. Oh my god. But to do that, I wanted some Biotoxin, which we needed to get from Cinderia, which could only be found in the underwater biome. So getting together some scuba gear and our anglerfish, we went down there to go looking, though the jellyfish turned out being pretty rare. So before we found any, we ended up exploring around, finding a Tuso, which we avoided, and some Mozas, killing the bad ones, and taming a level 105 because Smile thought it would be a good idea. Eventually getting some Toxin, though not nearly enough, so we kept looking, finding a level 145 Moza along the way, which we couldn't help but tame, and then another. So yeah, we had to. Though the moment I put food into its inventory, my scuba tank broke. So we had to leave it behind as I raced to get to the surface as quick as possible, just barely surviving. And on our way back home, I got bitch slapped by a Tylosaur. Thankfully, we had managed to get some Biotoxin, so we went ahead to try and get some Acros with it, heading out in day 36 to find some, finding a level 145 in the mountains of the Redwoods and beginning the taming process, which if you forgot from the 100 days on Scorched Earth or just haven't tamed these guys in general, essentially you rage bait it with lead, get it to flip out and scream, and then shove drugs down his throat to slowly knock it out, which I went about doing, though I was a bit rusty at that, so I had some close calls. But eventually I was able to get it knocked out and tamed with that extraordinary kibble I had gotten, speeding up the taming process greatly. Though while we were looking for more, we found that there were quite a few bad levels that had to be cleared out for good ones to spawn in their place.
Caucus Glaucus. Spin the Glock no jutsu.
Though we did find a level 130 female one later on, which we went about taming in the night, getting a better understanding of the Acros AI, which allowed me to tame it pretty easily, even when it had its own problems. Taming it in day 37 and then heading back out to clear more spawns. Finding a max level male along the way, which we tamed as well, though its stats rolled out pretty bad, so back to spawn clearing we went. Across a level 110 with a solid melee stat, so I took a gamble and tamed that one as well, though at this point we had run out of toxin, so I had to do it with narcotics. But eventually I managed to knock it out, and while waiting for it to tame, I took one of the better Acros that we had gotten for my own, giving it some levels with my Drakeling and naming it Viper, which you guys won't get that reference for a while. And then the Acro tamed, which its stats were decent, but I still wanted some better ones, though without toxin, it'd make the taming much harder. So after getting some loot, we went back home in day 38 to go back out on another water expedition for some more of that, using the Moses this time, which we got saddled and leveled, heading back down to the underwater biome to collect the one we'd left behind. And while we were down there, we managed to find and kill an Alpha Tuso, which gave us some substrate, which could be useful for later. Though no matter how far we searched or how many things we killed, we couldn't find any jellyfish for Biotoxin, which while annoying, was not a dead end, as I had already kind of assumed that this would happen. So as a backup plan, we were going to go down to the aberrant biome and find some of the poisonous mushrooms, which when harvested could give Biotoxin. So we went home to prepare and go do that, though we ended up getting stuck doing a bit of cleaning, which I took the opportunity to craft a whip in the hopes to improve our gathering, and then breeding some more of the sloths for the spider army. I also went ahead and got one of the Mega Raptors saddled up, playing around with them a bit, which they were kinda cool, then heading out for, you guessed it, loot. Though when we finished that, we then went into the aberrant zone in day 39 to go about getting the toxin, which we were able to get some, where along the way we came across a new creature from the Overseer's Experiments series of mods, a Happy Paulus, which was cool and Smile immediately loved, though we didn't have the things to tame it at the moment. So we kept on, getting a Moss Chops to help with gathering, which it definitely did, and we figured if that was good, then what about a Stego? So finding one nearby, we knocked it out and tamed it, using it for harvesting, which to say for sure gave us way much more, getting a good amount of Biotoxin, where I thusly named the Stego Pablo Stegscobar. And when we got a contentful amount, we packed up and went home. No, actually we looted, actually getting home in day 40, where we had managed to breed out the warriors of our Broodmother armory, then sending out the best 2 acros we had gotten thus far for breeding and getting Viper a saddle. Then heading out to go and get more acros, finding a level 135 in the mountains of the redwoods, going about the taming process and knocking them out, though this one turned out to be kind of a dud. So we went after another one, another level 135 that was in the central mountainous region north of our home, though due to the tumultuous terrain where it was, it made it pretty difficult to get into the flow of knocking it out, which led it to one-shotting me. Though I was able to retrieve my stuff in day 41 and went about finishing the tame for it, though it was another bad nab. And since we had exhausted the acro spawns, we decided to leave it at that and go about just getting the breeding operation started, though for that we would need an oviraptor. So with the dino finder, we found a level 140, went and knocked it out and tamed it with some random eggs we had at base. Then we immediately went back out for some more looting, though while doing that, Smile came across something extremely interesting. A Decilo-Titan, another creature from the Overseer's experiment mods, which me and Smile immediately wanted to tame. So doing the research on the taming method, we went home to go and prepare for it in day 42, getting together a ton of ammunition, putting the oviraptor to use, and getting the acros breeding, before heading out to tame that monstrosity, which to tame this guy is a rather chaotic but simple premise. Essentially, you need to do about 40,000 damage to get it into an enraged state, where the creature will be much faster and stronger. However, after it's done its tantrum, you'll be able to passively feed it to tame. So we went about trying to do this, though it was acting very weird to say the least. Foremost, after we managed to enrage and feed it once, we couldn't enrage it again for some reason, which sucked. We even nearly killed it a couple times, luckily having it eat some of the wild creatures around to heal it, and then going about trying to enrage it again, which didn't work. So we ended up going on a wild goose chase of having it kill wild creatures and fail to eat them because of its weird hitboxes, and then trying to enrage it again, which it never did. No matter how much damage we did or how many things we got it to eat, even into day 43, we couldn't get it enraged. And eventually, me and Smile got to a point of frustration with how often it nearly died that we decided to do something to consistently heal it, spawning in some acros to attack it so it could kill them and eat him, which was not legit at all, and honestly even now I kinda regret that decision, but alas, we went about doing that, damaging the Decilo, feeding it an acro when it got low, and then rinse and repeat, until eventually we did manage to enrage it again. However, we weren't able to feed it in time, though eventually we did manage to enrage it again and finally tame this monstrous beast, naming it Vermithor because yay, more Game of Thrones references. Which yeah, this guy was definitely unearned, and I have a feeling I'm gonna pay for this in the future. But regardless, we now had it. So we went back home and got it a saddle, doing some mild testing where it was pretty cool, but honestly not worth cheating for. So yeah, it wasn't even really worth it. So we dove back into trying to breed the acros, going about some Mega Raptor breeding as well, as we wanted to use those for the caves instead of the Deinonychus, working towards that end throughout the day, and then because we spotted a Zaldria dragon earlier, we decided to get together our aberrant ovis and go and try and tame that one in day 44. Though when we found it, it didn't want to eat the ovis, nor the dragon after it, which we figured was because these were the aberrant versions and not the normal. So with some spare veggie cakes, we went out to get a breeding pair of sheep for dragon taming, heading to the chalk cliffs, getting a few of them, and dropping them off at home to start breeding before.
Oh my lord, another looting spree. I love the loot, but god, it's so boring.
Then in day 45, we tried again to get a Zaldria dragon, hoping that maybe it didn't eat the ovis because its AI was merely broken. However, it still didn't eat it. And even when we did manage to get one of them to accept our sheep, it wasn't very effective, which meant we needed a lot more sheep to even try and tame one. So we had to give up until we were more prepared, which to that end, Smile was very eager to commit to. So from there, we went into some serious breeding, with Smile taking charge on breeding out a bunch of sheep for the dragons, while I worked on breeding out prime pairs for the Mega Raptors and acros, helping him collect the sheep in the process. Getting to work on that, collecting as many eggs as the breeders could produce, hatching them out, taking the best of what was born to progress the breeding lines, replacing the breeders when necessary, and doing some background grinding whenever there was a stale period, making some vaults, moving a bunch of stuff into the new vaults, neglecting some baby sheep because aren't we just wonderful parents, then using the doed stone and the chitin we had gotten from crab killing to make a bunch of cementing paste, crafting and placing another fabricator for convenience, and then doing some cleansing in day 46 with a new flamethrower I had gotten while looting. Continuing on with the breeding for a long while, Smile getting plenty of sheep, and me doing the usual, where eventually I got an acro with a mutation, though it wasn't good enough for the breeding operation, so I put it to the side to give to Smile as a new pocket for him, eventually getting a Mega Raptor baby that could replace his parent. So I stalled that operation and found that the baby was adorably derpy. Smile also managed to get a mutated sheep, which was yellow, so we named it Ampharos after a peak Pokemon. On top of of that, we also decided to breed our basilisks, mainly because I wanted to show Smile baby snakes, which he did indeed love. And so on, the breeding went into day 47, where we eventually got more than enough sheep for the Zoldyr taming, and I had managed to get a prime pair for the Acros, only needing to wait for them to grow up and to get the prime pair for the Raptors. So in the interim periods, we goofed off. And eventually we managed to get prime trios for both the Acros and the Mega Raptors, which at last concluded our breeding. And after that tedious endeavor, we decided to reward ourselves with some looting going into day 48, where while exploring, we found on the Dino Finder that a Giga had spawned. Not just any Giga, but up from the depths Paleo Giga, which was included with the Paleo Apex Predators mod. Though the Giga was bad level, and we did not have the things to tame it, so we decided to go out with our basilisks and kill it, which we managed to do, but it was a very close call. Heading back home after that to get the prime trios breeding out eggs for the army and our perfect cave mounts. Getting together the sloths we had bred out for the army as well, and getting them leveled up for the broodmother fight, which was the next thing on our list of objectives. Or at least it was, as with that Giga, we got kind of sidetracked in the want to get one. So while offline, I did some testing on the best way to tame one, which through my experiments, I found that the best way to go about it was with a decent stego with a good saddle, which we had the saddle and could very easily get the stego, though that alone was not enough, as through testing, I found that even with wyvern milk, another thing we'd need to prevent the Giga's bleed, it had often killed the stego in the taming process. Which I forgot to mention, the way to tame this giant beast was to have a Giga heart in your inventory so that you could challenge it. From there, you'd need to survive its onslaught until it knocked itself out, though I found that most of the time, it ended up killing the stego before it did knock itself out. That was until I tried enraging it, in which the Giga rapidly knocked itself to sleep. So that was our plan, going out in day 49 to go and tame some stegos for breeding. Yay, more of that. Finding some good ones with the Dino Finder, starting with a level 135 female near the chalk cliffs, taming that one, and then jumping after a max level one in the snow, grabbing that guy, and heading after one last stego to help complete our trio, which that one turned out pretty okay, but we didn't really care as we prioritized the saddle and the wyvern milk to get us through this tame. Speaking of, we went to go and get that next, heading to the wyvern den, knocking out whatever wyverns we came across, and killing the rest.
Oh, and now karma's a bitch. Yeah.
Doing this going into day 50, where after a bunch of illicit activities, we managed to get 25 milk, plenty enough for the tame. Getting back home to go about breeding the stegos, which we didn't do for too long. Hatching out some pretty good Mega Raptors while we were at it, which we decided would be perfect for the caves. Naming my personal Mega Raptor Terror Claw, and Smile naming his Darkness. Ooh, edgy.
I'm gonna kill you.
We also managed to get some stegos adequate enough for the Gigatame, one with a color mutation which I named Kool-Aid. Going about raising all of these guys and then leveling up Kool-Aid with my Drakeling to get them immediately ready for the tame ahead. And with all that done, we went out on some looting as a reward. Going into day 51, collecting some Drakeling chests, where we found a Karcha and a Wax Spinosaurus. Though we didn't ever do anything with these guys, so I'll save them for the next time. Killing them both and getting another Gigant Heart. Though up to that point, no Gigas were really spawning, and the Stego still needed time to heal. So we went about going after our next objective, killing the Broodmother. So getting saddles for the army, we prepared for the fight, getting some gas masks with that subtrait we got from the Tuso, as behind the Broodmother's lair was the entrance to the swamp cave, which we were planning on running after we killed it. Heading to the Redwoods and assembling the Legion, where we brought Vermithor to help assist us in that matter. Heading down to the lair in day 52, and finding that the Broodmother had despawned somehow. So after some finagling, I went ahead and just spawned the Broodmother in, though it was a low level and we killed it easily. Underwhelming, right? So I spawned another, and we went about killing that one too. But it wasn't too much of a problem either. I'm starting to think maybe the army was a little bit overkill for this. So with that done, we went into the cave in day 53, running it with 2 of our sloths and clearing through the hordes of bugs to get the artifacts of the immune, which Smile got, the strong, and the pack, leaving the cave after a bunch of fighting in day 54. Nice! 3 artifacts down. Though, as I'm writing this script, I just found out that we only needed 4, which were the artifacts of the Brute, Destroyer, Crag, and Gatekeeper. Regardless, we went back home to regroup, putting away our spoils and getting together some pedestals for our artifacts, and then heading out for another looting spree. You shouldn't be surprised by this. Which from one of them, I got an electric prod, which was just the thing we needed to tame the Happy Paulus. So our plans changed, heading back home to get a few normal prods for the Happy Paulus, and some sheep for a Zoldyr, as we wanted to go after one of those as well, which Smile wanted to do that first. So we went up into the mountains to go and get get some. First finding a level 120 ancient dragon, which it snubbed its nose to us. So we went after the level 110 we had tried to tame the last time, though it also snubbed its nose. So we then went after a level 105 juvenile, which did accept our offering, though one of the male sheep we tried to feed it attacked it and canceled the taming. So we went to find another one, retrying the level 110 first, which thankfully it did accept us. So we went about feeding it, and then heading out on the hunting phase of its taming to slowly but surely get this draconic steed tamed. Finally managing to get it tamed in day 55, naming it Algarax. Though Smile wanted to try and tame another one, so we went back to that ancient dragon, where I tried to put on some intimidation tactics. This is what happens if you don't. You're not the biggest honcho here. What the fuck? What the fuck?
It turned his ass to you, brother. It was like, nope.
Though while we were looking at the dragon, a random Dracara ended up attacking, which led to Algarax and the ancient dragon getting into a fight. So I had to put down the level 120 ancient. But still wanting a dragon, we went after the juvenile that we failed. However, its AI was broken, and no matter what we did, we just couldn't reinitiate the tame. So we gave up on the dragons and went down to the aberrant zone to try and get some happy polis. But for some reason, we couldn't find any. So we just went about killing a bunch of crabs for polymer going into day 56. Stubbornly sticking to our search, dropping by base real quick to get some hazard gear in case a reaper spawned in the red zone, cause who doesn't want a reaper? Heading back down to keep looking, trying to force happy polis spawns via killing, which most of it were crabs for even more polymer. Though no matter how much killing we did, we couldn't get any to spawn. Except a Reaper Queen that was level 20, which sucked. So we went to go and kill it. Oh, wait. We didn't have any light pets. So first we got those, then heading down into the trench in day 57 and killing that Reaper to see if we can get another one to spawn. It didn't. But we did manage to get the artifact of the Gatekeeper, which was down here apparently, and I didn't know about that. And since none of the creatures we wanted were spawning, we decided to focus on getting the rest of the artifacts, unaware that we only needed 4, but I digress. Which first we went after the artifact of the crag in the lava cave north of where we lived, near where we tamed the Desolo Titan, heading in with the Mega Raptors and rather easily getting the artifact. So easy I didn't believe that was all there was, so I went around on foot looking for more, but didn't, cause there wasn't anything else. So next we left for the snow cave in day 58, finding it and running it with the raptors, which these guys were making it extremely easy, as we got both the artifact of the cunning and the destroyer rather easily. I am really starting to like these guys though. Next we went for the artifact of the Skylord in the Chalk Cliff Caves, which this one had a water pocket, so I tried using my Moza to go through it, but it was too big, so I ended up getting the artifact on foot pretty easily again. And finally we went to the most dangerous cave of them all, the Jungle Cave. Now you might be asking, why is it so dangerous? Was it the creatures, the death pits, some unforeseen traps? No, it was the lag. But even still, we went through the cave into day 59, getting the artifacts of the Devourer and Brute rather quickly and leaving that laggy abomination of a cave. Still better than the Labyrinth Cave, though. So, with nothing more to do artifact-wise, we went to do some spawn clearing for another Giga, heading to where we found the last one, but to our dismay, we couldn't manage it. So we just went home and put our artifacts on some pedestals, which now, with all the artifacts that we needed for the boss, we didn't really have much else to do for the rest of the playthrough. However, there was still one creature that was added to this map that I wanted to tame before we finished it all up, which that was the new Elder Claw. But to get that, we would need to get a farm up and running and some honey for its taming process. So together, we went out in day 60 to go and get some loot for fuck's sake. Getting some crystal along the way to build a greenhouse for the farm, and heading out to the redwoods to get a bear for honey. Knocking it out and taming it, where we went home, got it a saddle, and went straight back out for honey gathering. Which I gotta say, this was way more effective than any of the bee taming I've done through my 100 days playthroughs, probably because I'm on single player, but still. From now on, I'm definitely just gonna get a bear. Then in day 61, me and Smile went out with the crab and the doe wedge to go get a bunch of stone for building the foundations for the farm, letting Smile take the lead on it since it's super satisfying and it was his first time doing it. And when he was done, we'd use the stone to build out the foundations for the farm, making a 3x10 layout and then placing a bunch of greenhouse structures to build up the farm completely. Which, with that done, we then moved on to hatching out the Acra army as we had collected enough eggs to do so, hatching them in incubators and then taking the babies into the greater courtyard to be taken care of and imprinted, which we worked together on that going into day 62. Finishing that to go back to the aberrant zone to try and get a Hoppy Paulus again, but they still weren't spawning. So I did some research on how single player spawning functions, and found that when it comes to modded creatures, sometimes the server can just forget to spawn the creatures. Which a good way to fix that is by spawning them in to remind the server of their spawns. So I decided to cheat summon and kill a Happy Paulus to invigorate spawns. Hopefully y'all are chill with this little bit of cheese, but it is to try and fix broken spawns, so I think it's fair. And how about that? It ended up working perfectly, as soon after Happy Paulus started to spawn along the rivers, including a level 125 which we went about trying to tame. Which to do so, you basically gotta get the Happy Paulus to walk through water to get its water buff, and then you hit it with an electric pod to stun and tame it passively, which is what I did. Though for some reason it didn't work on the arcology variant we went after next. So we had to abandon that one, finding a level 145 later on, but at that point all our prods were broken. So we went back home to repair them, crafting a fabricator to bring along with us to help repair them while we were down there. Heading back down with all that, where Smile wanted to try and tame one himself. Going back to that arcology variant again to see if we could tame it this time, though neither Smile or I could get it to work, as even when we stunned it, we couldn't feed it for some reason. So in day 63, we went after that 145, taming it pretty easily. So we went after some more, using the fabricator along the way to repair our prods when needed, and then going about finding some more. Though while looking for the next one to tame, we found a level 125 Reaper with the Dino Finder, which was tantalizing. So we kept that in mind as we continued looking for Happy Paulus, taming a level 150 male, which Smile tried to tame himself, though he couldn't manage it, so I went ahead and got it for him, which this one got 53 health, which was really good. Thereafter taming a female level 135, which ended up breaking some of my armor, whereafter we found a level 150 to tame, but because my armor was broken, it ended up killing me. Yeah, that's just a skill issue right there. So respawning, we got together what we needed to recollect my things, getting some hazard gear while we were at it, as we wanted to go and get that level 125 Reaper after the Happy Paulus. Returning to the aberrant zone and taming that Happy Paulus, which was a great nab, getting a melee stat of 52. And with that, we went after the Reaper Queen, getting the light pets from home and heading back to the aberrant zone in day 64 to get that Reaper Queen. Heading into the red zone with the rock drakes, where we found the queen and went about trying to get impregnated by it.
No, here we fucking go with this shit again.
However, I was a little forgetful and didn't remember that to get a Reaper Queen in the state to impregnate you, it needed to be below 2k health, not a certain percentage like we went off during the taming, which obviously made the tame a very difficult process. And even when we did remember that, it was still a challenge to get it into that state, not being able to actually get it low consistently. And when we did, Smile ended up killing it accidentally. You know what? It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's not fine. It's not fine. It's not fine at all. So in lieu of that, we continued on our Happy Paulus ventures, getting another level 150 female, which at this point we decided that we were actually going to try about getting a bunch of these guys through breeding, as me and Smile really wanted to bring some along for the boss fight, and we wanted to see how powerful they really could be, which with that we were content. So we left the aberrant zone to go ahead and get these abominable Spinosaurids breeding, starting that in day 65, where with the Dino Finder we found another Reaper had spawned, our chance for redemption. So getting everything we might have needed for the tame, we raced down to the red zone to try and get a Reaper, killing the other few that have spawned in with it, which was a good omen to us that the spawns were finally getting healthy. Finding the level 135 after that and going about the process of taming it, getting it down to 2k health and then waiting for it to stick me with its tail, which after a bit of its harassment, it finally managed to do its thing and gave me a baby Reaper, though almost immediately after I died. But learning from Aberration, I knew I still had the baby. So on Dragonstone, I went out to go and get some quick EXP, then went about birthing our very first Reaper King. Thereafter getting the things that we would need to go and retrieve my stuff, hoping that maybe we can get another Reaper as well. Though unfortunately after we got back and got my stuff, we found that the level 135 had despawned. Probably should have trapped it, but whatever. We then went about spawn killing to get more, which worked fairly well, as we got a lot of Reapers to spawn. However, the best one we got was a level 120, and Smile wanted something better for his, so we cleared it out as well. Worst mistake, as after that, there were no more good ones. And after a ton of spawn clearing, going into day 66, where we even managed to kill an Alpha Reaper Queen, in the process, we had gotten nothing. Where while fighting one of the queens, a random crab ended up snagging me off my Drake, which immediately caused my death. Goddamn crab. So we went about regathering my stuff as quick as we could, which with that bullshit, we decided to drop the second Reaper for now. Heading back home in day 67, I swear to God, if one of y'all make a joke about it, I'm gonna fucking steal your ribs. We went about continuing the breeding process for the Happy Paulus, where I tested out my new Reaper. Yes, I colored them red, which I named Baylor Shadow Spear, since we'd been watching A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms while we were recording this. And yeah, that death stuck with us. Going about some grinding while we were there, working on the breeding with the Happy Paulus, killing any failures with a chainsaw because the voices told me to, and eventually getting some decent ones which we took for our own as pockets, where I named mine Toya and he named his Flamey. Very creative, I know. Eventually getting to a spot where we just needed to wait for the babies to grow. So we went out with our new mounts to go and tame an Elder Claw, or rather to get its seed.
What do you mean by that?
As like most creatures nowadays, it had a gimmick with its taming, requiring you to kill one and plant the seed you get from it to get a baby Groot Bear. So we found a level 140 in the redwoods and stole its seed.
What the fuck?
I thought the Reapers were bad. But before we went home to plant it, we went around with the Happy Palace, which, oh boy, they were good. Oh my God, what the fuck? Dude, this guy's like a torpedo.
Huh?
I'm in the water. Look at how fast I'm going.
Oh shit.
See how fast?
Yo.
Getting back home in the afternoon to go about raising the Elder Claw, which to even get the baby, you need to feed the plant it comes from an assortment of things to essentially get a good level bear. Kinda like Arenio, which I went about taking care of the plant going into day 68, feeding it honey, biotoxin, leech blood, sap, and black pearls to nurture it, eventually getting a level 210 baby. Holy shit, that's actually really good. Going about the imprinting and raising of the baby bear, where I named it Groot, because I literally couldn't think of anything else. Then, to test out the true power of a Happy Paulus, we went out with our Happy Paulus to try and force Giga spawns, because yes, we were still stuck on that. Heading up to the Giga spawn areas where we went about a bunch of killing. Though even into day 69, we still couldn't get one too. At least we were able to get a good feel for these aquatic juggernauts, which to say the least, they were extremely good at killing and fighting, which definitely cemented their role in our boss fighting army. And as if we don't do it enough, we went looting, going into day 70, getting nothing worth mentioning, and then getting back home to continue the Happy Paulus breeding, as now that we knew they were reliable, we wanted to work towards that full steam. We also decided while talking that eventually we wanted to get a Dinosuchus as well as a backup in case Grendel proved to be a bit too much for us, but that would be for later. As of now, I just went to test out the group bear, finding that it had a totem buff on creatures which would be great for the boss fight, so we decided we'd bring them along too when the time came, going forth with more Happy Paulus breeding to finally get them finished in day 71, leveling up the Acro army while we were doing that. And while breeding, using the Dino Finder, we found another Giga had finally spawned, though it was bad level. A good sign for the future, but it was still bad. But before we took any action on that, we went ahead and pushed towards finishing the prime pair of Happies going into day 72, getting a duo and letting Smile imprint them because he wanted to, even though it really didn't matter. Heading out right after to go and kill that Giga, which was where the other one was. So after we killed it, we decided to go around the fields where it spawned, killing things to try and force another spawn. Yet again. Though even as we went across the plains, the mountains, and even some of the nearby lakes, we still couldn't get any to spawn. Hunting into day 73 and well into day 74, killing all we could to no avail. And we got really sick of that. So we went looting instead, going about that into day 75, where eventually we packed up and went back home, finding the prime Happy Paulus grown up, so we got them to breeding. Though, since we still wanted something good to tame today, we decided to head back down to the aberrant zone to try and get Smile his Reaper. But first we needed some resources to craft and repair some hazard gear, so we did that. Getting the hazard gear repaired, and then heading back down to start spawn clearing Reapers again. Heading down there together on my Rock Drake, accidentally killing Smile, but after getting his Drake situated, we went about hunting down Reapers going into day 76, managing to get a level 125 pretty quickly, so we went about the process of lowering itself, getting it to peg me, and then getting the baby Reaper, before breaking my ankles and dying. But remember, the baby doesn't die, so I just went about getting some EXP for it, waiting for it to pop out of my chest, and then heading back out to retrieve my stuff, which when I did, we immediately got back to searching, finding both an Alpha Reaper Queen and a level 135 Reaper Queen. So we went ahead and killed the Alpha, and then went after that level 135. Though this time, the endeavor was much more complicated, as this Reaper's AI was extremely bugged out, and it constantly got stuck. But eventually, through stubborn persistence, I managed to get the baby Reaper, dying to fall damage once again, repeating the process of respawning, getting EXP, popping out the baby, which I did notice something about it, then getting the stuff to go and retrieve my other stuff, getting it back in day 77, and calling our journey to an end there. Returning back home to see our new Reaper companions, though one of our new children were kinda weird looking, and were much larger than the rest, and it had a weird tail, and oh my god, it's a Reaper Queen. I completely forgot about the Untamables mod. Holy shit. So yeah, we got a Reaper Queen, which itself could give us an infinite army of Reaper Kings. We're going to exploit the fuck out of this, where we decided to get together some Reapers to join us in the boss fight, naming the Queen Gravemind, and going about getting some Reapers in the freakiest way possible, raising a group of those throughout the day, as well as getting the baby Happy Paulus we needed for the army raised up alongside them, doing this tedious process going into day 78, where we finished raising the Reaper and only needed to wait for the Happy Paulus to grow up so I could level them up before we logged off for that night. Though Smile ended up leaving a little early as he was tired, so I went and goofed off for a bit, crafting the Legion some saddles before finding another Desolate Titan that wasn't so great. So I went out with Baylor and killed them. Then getting curious about a mod we added to the playthrough, the Hatzagopteryx Cool Con, which I decided to try and tame one, where they were very similar to an Evo Giga, in that you needed to present them a trophy, this time a Hatzagopteryx skull, which that would enrage it, though unlike the Giga, you needed to fight this guy to exhaust it so you could ride it and engage in a quick time event minigame to actually tame it, which is exactly what I did, heading back home in day 79 to level up the Happy Paulus. But now we were at the part of the playthrough where there was really nothing else but the boss fight to do, where we only really needed to get the final tributes for the fight, which at this point were just a few Sarco scales and Boa Venom. So, for one last time before the playthrough was over, we decided to head out and try and force the Giga to spawn, heading to the fields where they spawn the most and going about the largest killing spree yet, going on and on and on and on and on and on about this into day 80 with no luck. So we decided to do the same thing with the Happy Paulus for the Evo Giga, spawning in one and killing it to incentivize spawns, but that ended up not doing anything. But of course, we were stubborn, so we kept on going, eventually moving to another place they could spawn in the snow, going about spawn clearing there, yet had much the same troubles as before in that regard, hunting into day 81 with no reward, eventually leaving in day 82 to try and find some in a more broad search. Yet we still couldn't find one, so we just did some looting before we went to go and get the final tributes. So we also remembered that we wanted some Dinosuchus as well, so we dropped by home to get what we needed for that taming endeavor before returning back to the swamp in day 83 to go looking, where at first the spawn started out really slow, but eventually we managed to get the tributes we needed and found a level 110 Paleo Dinosuchus, which we tamed pretty easily, finding a level 140 normal Dinosuchus later on, which we also tamed. And then Smile wanted to take a shot at taming a level 145 Paleo variant we found later, so I gave him the gear and let him have his shot, which, while Smile wasn't the greatest, figuring this was his first time, he did pretty well, eventually taming it, where then he wanted to go after another, as he got stuck on the idea of getting an imprinted one, so we went spawn clearing to get another, finding a level 135 Paleo later on, which Smile went about taming, in a pretty rough manner, but eventually we got it in day 84, heading back home to get to breeding out the baby croc to imprint it for the boss fight, going about that process where we got a prime pair in day 85, and thereafter got the baby we needed for the fight, imprinting and raising it and naming it Gomek. And then when it grew up, we leveled it up and threw it into a Pokeball to heal, which, with all that done, there was nothing else to do. So we then went about setting up for the boss fight, getting the army together, their saddles, the tributes, and artifacts, and taking all of them to the Red Obelisk, setting up the army and getting ready to fight Alpha Grendel. After 85 days, 70 hours of gameplay, so many hiccups we could have died from it, but we finally managed to get to the end. I hope y'all enjoyed, and please enjoy our fight with Alpha Grendel.
Oh,
Wow, here we are. Everybody follow me. Vog's kind of crazy. The Happy Paulus are gonna love this arena. Oh, there he goes.
oh shit. Come here, bitch.
Let's go get the bitch. Oh shit. Oh shit.
Oh,
shit.
no.
All right, I got the buff. I'm gonna get on a Reaper King. Oh shit. Let me. Oh. There you go. There you go. Oh.
You're trying to kill who?
Ooh, what the fuck is that? Oh shit, that's a pounce attack. Oh.
Yeah.
Ah, god damn.
Woo.
I put them on aggressive, so they're just gonna start attacking shit. Alright. Tactical! Oh shit.
Don't stay on the pounce when it's coming down.
Brother, this guy is so cheeky, dude.
Can't see shite.
I think that's a part of the arena, though. Like, it's supposed to... You're not supposed to
Yeah,
be able to... I think... What? Do I gotta... I think it's something I gotta start up the pyre, I think. Oh, no, never mind.
Got him.
Nice. Oh, let's get that bitch. Oh, the totem's
God.
down.
It's coming down.
Oh, shit. Oh.
No.
I think we gotta set this freaking giant pyre... Oh, shit. It's going on me. There we go. Get that bitch. Oh.
No.
Alright, I'm gonna try something.
Keeps fucking jumping, bro.
Oh, God. Let me back on the Reaper.
Funny.
Brother.
Bruh.
I don't know how to fucking do this. Oh, wait. Is it something to do with this?
That's what I was seeing.
Like the beacon. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Okay. Gigabyte.
Ow.
Hold right click. You gotta hold right click.
Oh.
That's how you get the bleed ability.
I can't move. I'm almost dead.
What, you were almost dead? The Gomegas?
Croc.
Seriously?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Can I relight this beacon? Oh, I cannot. Okay, then I need to find another beacon. Okay, I think I know what I gotta do. Oh shit, though. Ah, this guy.
Oh, no.
A beacon. Okay. Everybody over here. Go over here. I'm gonna do the beacon thing again. We gotta light these beacons and lure him down. All right, just meet me right here. I'm lighting a beacon.
I can't. The acros. Fuck. Oh no, it's on me.
Where is it? On you? Okay. It's just gonna attack the group then. Just try and get that gigabyte off. That's your main objective, is try and get that gigabyte off on him. Because you're probably gonna be what clutches this.
Oh no. No, he died.
Shit. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Alright, just hop on a random creature. Try not to get yourself killed. Alright, well,
Yeah,
Gomek
one
is
macro.
lost. But we're doing serious damage. We're doing serious damage, though. I think we might be fine without Gomek. We just gotta keep pummeling him.
Fuck you said!
Oh, shit. There it is. Alright. I'm gonna light another beacon. Don't jump on me.
Trying to get. Get him.
Oh, Groot's dead.
Oh no.
It's all good.
Get him.
Get
Yes.
the bitch. Yeah, there we go. There we go. See? We got it. Yeah. Told you we got it. I told you we had it. It was just learning curve. So, did Valguero live up to expectations? I'd say it did. Though still not the best experience I've had in Ark, it was pretty fun. Made better by playing with a friend, but the map was fun nonetheless. I definitely think they improved it with this upgrade, and I certainly applaud the aberrant additions they gave to this map. All in all, I'd say they did a pretty good job, and I'd have to rate the map 7 out of 10. Not too bad. Anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed that one. Please like, subscribe, and share if you did, and I will see you next time on Lost Colony. Hopefully in a quick manner. Please pray for me.